Hello dear students, today we are going to start the chapter the tsunami. So before we start, let's discuss first what is tsunami. So tsunami is a high rising wave caused by the earthquake under the sea. So before we start the chapter, there are some sentences given here. Let's see that they are correct or not. Kachal is an island. Yes, Kachal is one of the largest islands in Andaman and Nicobar group of islands. Now the second statement is it is part of the Andaman group of islands. No, it is part of the Nicobar group of islands. So this statement is not correct. The third sentence is Nankaure is an island in the Nicobar group. Yes, this statement is correct. Nankaure is one of the islands in the Nicobar group. Now, the fourth sentence is Kachal and Nankaure are more than 100 miles apart. No, the distance between Kachal and Nankaure is less than 100 miles. Okay, so this statement is not correct. The fifth sentence is the Andaman and Nicobar Islands are to the west of India. No, they are situated at the east of India. Now, the Nicobar Islands are to the north of the Andaman Islands. No, it is situated at the south of the Andaman Islands. So, these are some sentences. Now, let's discuss about the story. A tsunami is a very large and powerful wave caused by earthquakes under the sea. On 26 December 2004, a tsunami hit Thailand and parts of India, such as the Andaman and Nicobar Islands and the Tamil Nadu coast. Coast is the area nearby the sea, so that area is called the coastal area of the Tamil Nadu at that time. Here are some stories of courage and survival. Did animals sense that a tsunami was coming? Some stories suggest that they did. So, in this story, you are going to hear about the real survival stories of tsunami that came on 26 December 2004, and the area that were affected by this disaster were Thailand's and some parts of India like Andaman and Nicobar Islands and the Tamil Nadu coast. Now, in this story, in this chapter, we'll read that how the people were badly affected by tsunami and how did they save their lives. So, we'll hear about the real survival stories of tsunami. Now, the author raised a question that animals sense that a tsunami was coming. So, yes, animals can sense when any natural calamity is approaching towards us. Some stories also prove that fact. Now, let's forward. In this picture, you can see the scene of disaster at that time created by tsunami. These stories are all from the Andaman and Nicobar archipelago. Archipelago means a group of many islands and the surrounding sea. So, archipelago is that clear to all of you? Now, in the first part, we'll read about the stories related to the Andaman and Nicobar Islands. So, the first character is Ignatius here. Ignatius was the manager of cooperative society in Kachal. His wife woke him up at 6 a.m. because she felt an earthquake. Ignatius carefully took his television set off its table and put it down on the ground so that it would not fall and break. Then the family rushed out of the house. So, Ignatius is the character who was the manager of a cooperative society in Kachal. In the morning, his wife felt an earthquake and she wake up at 6 o'clock. At the same time, she also told her husband about that. And Ignatius kept his television down from the table so that it would not fall on them and hurt them as well as it would not break also. Then, as it is advised during earthquake to come on roads or open areas because there is nothing to fall on them. So Ignatius and his wife too ran outside of their home to save themselves from being hurt. When the tremors stopped, they saw the sea rising. Tremors means the trembling effect in earth, or you can say a shake or vibration. Now, in the chaos and confusion, chaos means total disorder. Two of his children caught hold of the hands of their mother's father and mother's brother and rushed in the opposite direction. He never saw them again. His wife was also swept away. Only the three children who came with him were saved. So when the vibration stopped, they noticed that the sea waves were rising very high with a lot of noise and disorder. So all of them were really scared and confused. All the people were running here and there. So in the total disorder and in confusion, Ignatius' children, two of his children held the hands of their maternal grandfather, and the other one held the hands of his maternal uncle, and they ran in the opposite side to escape from the waves. But after this, Ignatius never saw them again. His wife was also disappeared in the waves. So only his three children who joined him at that time, they were saved. So Ignatius had total five children, and two of them were lost and three of them were saved with him. And he also lost his wife, his father-in-law and his brother-in-law in this disaster. Now the second story is of Sanjeev, was a policeman serving in the Kachal Island of the Nicobar group of islands. He somehow managed to save himself, his wife and his baby daughter from the waves. But then he heard cries for help from the wife of John, the guest house cook. Sanjeev jumped into the water to rescue her, but they were both swept away. So now the other story refers to Sanjeev, who was a policeman. He was serving in the Kachal Island of the Nicobar group of islands. He was lucky enough to save his wife and daughter from these high waves, but at the same time, he heard that the wife of John, who was the guest house cook, was crying for help. Sanjeev jumped into the water to save her, but both were disappeared in the waves. They too never came back. Now, 13 years old Meghna was swept away along with her parents and 77 other people. She spent 2 days floating in the sea, holding on to a wooden door. 11 times she saw relief helicopters overhead, but they did not see her. She was brought to the shore by a wave and was found walking on the seashore in a daze. Daze means in utter shock. So, here you can see that people tried to save their lives, but because of the huge waves, they were failed in their attempts for survival. Now, the next story is about 13 years old girl named as Meghna. She was also swept away with her parents and 77 other people. She struggled with the waves by holding on to a wooden door. She was floating in the sea. She noticed 11 times that the rescue helicopters moving overhead. She cried for help, but nobody could see her. She came to the shore by a high rising wave and found by the other people when she was walking on the sea shore in utter shock because she had lost her family in these cruel waves. Now, Almas Javid was 10 years old. She was the student of Carmel Convent in Port Blair, where her father had a petrol pump. Her mother Rahila's home was in Nankaure Island. The family had gone there to celebrate Christmas. So now the next story refers to Elma Javed. Elma Javed is another character who was 10 years old. She was a student of Carmel Convent School situated in Port Blair. Her father had a petrol pump there. Her mother Rahila's home was situated at Nankaure Island, and their family visited there to have a happy time together on Christmas. They planned to celebrate Christmas at the island. Now, when the tremors came early in the morning, the family was sleeping. Elma's father saw the sea water recede. Recede means moving back. He understood that the water would come rushing back with great force. He woke everyone up and tried to rush them to a safer place. So, when the earthquake came early in the morning, all the family members were in sleep. Suddenly, Alma's father noticed a sea wave going back. Now he understood that something bad is going to be happened, and the sea wave will come back with full force to destroy everything. So he woke up everyone and guided them to go to a safer place outside. As they ran, her grandfather was hit on the head by something and he fell down. Her father rushed to help him. Then came the first giant wave and that swept both of them away. Giant means a huge wave. So as they tried to run away from there, Elma's grandfather head was hit by something heavy and he fell down. Elma's father ran to help him and both of them were swept away with the first huge wave coming towards them. And then Elma's mother and aunts stood clinging to the leaves of the coconut tree, calling out to her. A wave uprooted the tree, and they too were washed away. Clinging means to attach, to hold. So Elma also noticed at the same time that her mother and aunts were standing by holding the leaves of coconut tree. They were calling her there to be on a safe side. But at the sudden moment, a huge wave came and the tree was uprooted, and all her other family members were washed away with the waves. So in the second picture, you can also see the scene of disaster made by the cruel waves. Elma saw a log of wood floating. She climbed on it, then she fainted. Fainted means being unconscious. When she woke up, she was in a hospital in Camorta. From there, she was brought to Port Blair. The little girl doesn't want to talk about the incident with anyone. She is still traumatized. Traumatized means in great shock and being distressed. So Elmas was trying to escape in that time of danger. She saw a log of wood floating into the water. She sat on it and became unconscious. When she woke up, she found herself in a hospital in Camorta. That is an island in the Nicobar Islands chain of India. Now, after being well, she was sent to Port Blair. Now the girl is still in utter shock of losing all her family members. She is so hurt and terrified that she doesn't want to talk about this incident to anyone. Whenever she remembers this incident, she is afraid to think that incident may happen again. So she finds it better to not to remember it anymore. So I hope that the first part of the story is clear to all of you. Now there are some statements. Let's check that they are true or false. So Ignatius lost his wife, two children, his father-in-law and his brother-in-law in the tsunami. Yes, this statement is correct. Sanjeev made it to the safety after the tsunami. No, he was not saved. He was too washed away in the waves with the wife of John, the guest house cook. Meghna was saved by a relief of helicopter. No, she was saved by a high rising wave and then she came to the shore because the relief helicopters couldn't see her. Elma's father realized that a tsunami was going to hit the island. Yes, he realized when he saw a wave was going back. He understood that something bad is going to be happened. Her mother and aunts were washed away with the tree and they were holding on to. Yes, when the tree was uprooted because the aunts and her mother were holding the tree leaves to survive, but a sudden wave came and the tree was uprooted and they too were washed away in the waves. So this is the first part of the chapter. I hope it is clear to all of you. Thank you all.